Hi, I'd like to introduce the Beck Song Reader Project to the workshop. What is the Beck Song Reader Project? Well, what it really it is an album in the form of a book. And it's a book of different songs, and each one has some really nifty artwork on it. And you would open them up and see that there's chords and melodies and lyrics already designed to do something with. So in my class, what we did, and this is versatile between guitar lessons and rock ensemble or even jazz band class, could definitely do some interpretations upon this as a project, and we'll get into the different versatilities of it in a minute. But in essence, the artist Beck, who's a pop and rock artist who had a couple hits, pretty much the mid '90s, a couple later hits in the early 2000s. He wanted to challenge his audience in a way to make them have to go home and interpret the music as opposed to just go and download it and this is what you get and then we see it live. Um, as a music teaching tool, I found this to be really interesting because it gave so many options and so many interesting twists to what I'm going to call song crafting as opposed to a songwriting project. A songwriting project would probably issue chords or issue certain melodies together and would have students create their own lyrics or offset melodies or rhythms. This gives you a little more to start with, and I'll give you an example here with this song, Rough on Rats, which is one of the songs I will include in the project. It gives you kind of an idea, and first off, it's written for ukulele music. Well, most of us aren't going to be able to play ukulele anyway, so let me just show you what we did with this in my class. So in the guitar lessons, if this was a guitar lessons project, you would sit down with a student and you would show them the music or photocopy it and diagram out what you like to begin with. So the first thing I see here is A minor, G to F to E, and then a D7, E7 change. So to me, in my first opinion, or first take a look at this, it would be something like this. And that pretty much goes through the majority of the song. Looking at the bridge, it's going to be D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, F to E. Okay, let me just see how this was supposed to sound. But let me get to the point here. Beck did not want you to just open the book and play it. He wants you to interpret it. He wants the user or the musician to create their own version of it. And even there's been many SoundCloud sites and YouTube sites of people posting their own versions of it. This is what his intention was. His intention was for the at-home musician or a music student to be able to go home and interpret his music. But this is where the fun begins, so to speak. There's no real wrong or right way to approach this music. It's all about having the students make choices. So if this was a band class, if this was a jazz group or a rock ensemble, we would choose the song. We might go and listen to a couple of the user versions of it, but then we'll stare at it for a while, and then we'll decide if we like the key, if we like the melody, if we like the song, if we like the lyrics. In my class, many of the times we ended up changing the song structures around, meaning we put one lyric in front of another, putting it at the end of the song or extending it. I will add a clip of the old Shanghai mix, and you will be able to see how the two different versions end up kind of using the same song, but very, very different outcomes, very different approaches. One is very a little bit synth pop, and the other is a very traditional acoustic guitar folk song. So two same song, two totally different approaches. But let me show you what my class decided to do with Rough on Rats. So again, the original way is A minor G to F to E. Okay, the first thing that happened in my group was they didn't like the key to sing in. But then, almost on the first practice, the first, call it the first changing session of the music, the students decided that they just didn't like the last two measures on it. So they eliminated it. And that was a major decision right there for this song because it changed the whole song completely for the remainder of the time. So what they ended up doing was we went down to, I believe it was a B flat key, and then we changed it in from open chords, we changed it into power chords. So we made the song a little easier to play as well for the guitar students. So again, it's all about options, making changes, and seeing your vision of Beck's material forward. So again, let me show you what my class ended up doing with Rough on Rats. It's actually C. So what they decided to do in their craft was they eliminated the ending two chord measures from the initial theme. So what they did was they just added it on the end of the fourth round. So it kind of has a hit the road jack kind of feel to it, but at the same time they were making this up and they were owning their decisions on their song and their key. And I think that's the whole project here with the Beck Songreader project. So again, the teachers would have to obviously obtain the book and then make a few pre-prep decisions and organize a timeline as to, first week you're going to take a look at this, second week we're going to try to play it, and then third and fourth and fifth we're going to go ahead and modify it and adapt it and make it our own. And this is great because you can do this with all different levels. I would emphasize this be sort of a middle school to high school group or individual student project on upward. This also works very nicely with open-minded adult music students or guitar students. But the elementary students may have a little bit of a tougher time making decisions on it. But the high school and the middle school students really responded very nicely to this. And again, one of the exciting things about the Beck Songreader project was not just to play a bunch of Beck songs, but to make the decisions about song crafting your own song based on his thing, and then you can post it, you can record it, you can share it. There's been literally hundreds of projects built off of this one book in just a very short 2-year period of time. This was released, I believe, the end of 2012 initially. Again, what we want to do is encourage musical changes, but also be able to adjust things for the student's level. So there is a bit of a teacher side to it as well. So one of the things the students get to do is make a lot of decisions and learn about all the music changes, key changes, tempo changes, rhythm changes. Even they could write their own lyrics or adjust the order of it. Again, in the old Shanghai clip that I will attach, the second version, he ends up tagging the lyric. Now that's not in the paper. That's not in the notation or the sheet music. He just decided to do that, and that's what the project is all about. It's taking the basics of what we're learning in music lessons or guitar lessons or in a band class, and taking those things into a context, not just out of context, but putting it into context to make changes to be able to perform this set of material. In a workshop format, I think the best way would be to pair up in groups, small groups or pairs, and approach one of the songs and delicately try to interpret it. Then, because a lot of it's written in piano or ukulele or guitar, go ahead and find an adaptable way to do it. Even if there isn't a guitar available, you could change it into a percussion piece. You could change it into an a cappella vocal piece, which some of the user online stuff has done to some of the songs. You could even reinterpret those songs in a different language. So there's a couple different options you can do without having necessarily traditional instruments, and also you can use technology. You could use your phone to create the notes, or find a music making app to go along with it. So there's basically endless ways to interpret this ultimately. But in the workshop setting, if there wasn't available instruments, then you would probably consider some form of quick interpretation, meaning try to do something percussive, try to do something vocal based, but you still get to exercise the songs the same way that the students will do when they do this as a class project or as a lessons project.